The Canucks open their 6-game road trip with a 5-3 loss in Buffalo. We're breaking it down now. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. And we welcome you inside the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studios. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. It is Rink Wide Vancouver. I am Jeff. He is Irf. Second half of the Vancouver Canucks schedule is underway with yet another loss. And in some ways, Irf, this was almost the perfect loss. Really, like the Tankists come out of this, they're happy.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Canucks fall 5-3. But the coaching staff, they see a plucky comeback there in the third period, and they think, hey, there's still something there with this group. Adam Foote talked about staying in arm's reach of the playoffs. It's going to be difficult if they don't win hockey games, but they didn't go quietly. Unfortunately, they were way too quiet for the first 55 minutes of this one tonight.
Well, that's exactly what it was. You were not so good, like you mentioned, in the first 55 minutes of this hockey game, and then when they started to care, when the game was basically completely out of reach, they mounted a comeback. And as Stankus would say, perfect game. You show enough, but you don't win the game and you lose. So eyes are on, Ivar Stenberg and Gavin McKenna and the rest of the bunch very early in the draft. But yeah, if you're a Canuck fan and you wanted to see this team win, they're far from it right now.
Rink Wide brought to you in part by Bet365. I was a little worried, though. Those are the Sabres, and they were starting to savor a little too much down the stretch, and the Canucks came close once they made it a one-goal game. There were a couple of scrambles there. UPL was flapping and floundering all over the place. He did for much of the night, but boy, he was good early on. And the Vancouver Canucks, it took them far too long to kind of, let's be honest, the give-a-damn meter just didn't look like it was running particularly hot in this hockey game until it was completely out of reach. And then, power play goal to get them on the board midway through that third period. Then Elias Pettersson with a spinning shot from the slot that made it mildly interesting. But then when Liam Ogren scores, there's still 4 minutes and 5 seconds. All of a sudden, Lindy Ruff's timeout. He's got to try and settle his group down. And then the drama kind of came to a quick halt there with the Josh Doan empty netter from his own zone. And so the Canucks really didn't have a chance to set up with the man advantage. And they go quietly into that Buffalo night, as we said, the first of a 6-game road trip, and they fall. And this is becoming a little bit of a theme now for the Vancouver Canucks. So the Tankists can rejoice here. Canucks are winless in 4. They're 0-3-1 in their last 4 hockey games. More than that, 1-4-2 in the 7 games since that 4-game win streak right after the Quinn Hughes. That was like that sugar rush, right? Like you make the trade and everybody's trying to deal with the young guys. The new guys come in. They want to contribute. They managed those 4 wins as they rolled through New York and Boston. It's been tough sledding since then. 1-4-2 now in their last 7 hockey games.
Yeah, I think that there's, like you just said, 2 ways of looking at this. The one group of the fan base looks at it and says, okay, well, things are good because they keep losing hockey games. The coaching staff, like you mentioned, is, okay, maybe we do have something with this group. Let's see what we have. You got Elias Pettersson to score. You got Brock Besser to get 2 assists, but that might be the only thing he did in the hockey game. Liam Ogren looks okay. And then beyond that, your goaltender, not so good in this hockey game. Hasn't been good of late. And then there's a bunch of holes and question marks everywhere else, too.
Yeah, you bring up a couple of points that I do want to touch on there. Canucks, and it is the start of the second half of the season, 16-21-5 now is the record for this hockey club through 42 games. So they remain on 37 points. They're not gaining ground on anybody. The road record, which has kind of propped them up all season long, it takes a hit as well. 12-9-2. You mentioned Thatcher Demko, and this, I think, was the fear of some in Tank Nation, that this was the guy, single-handedly, that could spoil the grand plans of the Canucks sinking in the standings or actually working their way up the standings. But, yeah, it's become tough sledding for him as well. He's winless in 5 now. He hasn't won since the Islanders game on that road trip that was the third of the 4 games in a row that they were successful. He had that groove going as he worked his way through New Jersey and the 2 New York teams. But since then, a lot of goals getting past him. And I thought early on, he looked off a little bit. the very first puck he faced in this one kind of slid to him, and he scrambled to find it, and it was loose there. The Sabres had 2 glorious chances in the first 30 seconds or 45 seconds of this hockey game, and it just kind of went from there. You look at a couple of the goals. Tage Thompson, you allow him to spin and fire in the slot. Uncontested, he's going to score most of the time. So I'm not holding that one. The 2-on-1, the shorthanded goal, perfectly executed from Alex Tuch to Ryan McLeod. Then Tuch wide open on the back door. That was the 3-0 goal. And then somebody named Zach Metsa got in on the scoring earth.
Who?
Exactly. Congrats to him. Got his first in the National Hockey League. It turns out to be the game winner, in fact. Again, there were breakdowns all around on that play. So, when I look at the individual goals that got past Thatcher Demko, I'm not sure that I can point to one and say, terrible goal had to have. But he gives up 4, and the guy at the other end was really good, particularly early in the hockey game. And so, I would say that the Canucks got out-goalied in this one. Certainly when you look at the shots on goal as well, Canucks outshot the Sabres 34-20. It didn't feel like that kind of night, the shot imbalance. I mean, third period score effects, and the Canucks are pushing. Canucks had 4 power plays, by the way, to Buffalo's 1. Canucks did score, but they also gave up 1 on their power play. Whatever the case, Demko wasn't terribly busy. Interesting that the Canucks established their season low against the Sabres back on December 11th. They held Buffalo to 15 shots on goal, and here the Sabres only get to 20. And yet this Buffalo team is all of a sudden a wagon. They had the 10-game win streak stopped on the weekend in Columbus. They've started a new one, Irf.
This team is good.
It's 11 wins in 12 tries.
It's crazy. Tage Thompson did an interview, I think it was on Spit and Chicklets, and he said that Jarmo Kekalainen is a guy that, he has a presence. And when he says something, he means it. He basically walked into that locker room and said that everyone on this team is expendable. And maybe, just maybe, that conversation should have been had here in Vancouver quite some time ago before the season got completely underway or away from the Vancouver Canucks. But look, I think the Buffalo has been a great story. The East is so wild right now that everyone thinks that they can be a playoff team. But for a Vancouver Canucks point of view, like you mentioned, a lot more times, even when they do outshoot teams, they're still lopsided on the score sheet when it comes to goals.
Well, the struggles continue for so many of the guys, the guys that you look to. And, on a night when Tage Thompson opens the scoring and Alex Tuch has a goal and an assist, those are the Sabres gunners. Those are their guys. And they come through, and I know that Elias Pettersson got a goal late, but this was not a good night for him. He had a couple of different sets of line mates as Adam Foote's pushing buttons and trying things. And when it was 4-0, why not? But still, they just need so much more from 40. They need so much more from 6, 91. Vander Kane had 12 shot attempts in this hockey game?
Yeah.
How? When? I remember one when he burst in the first period and kind of cut behind a defender and got a shot away. Honestly, when I saw that, we do a stat that stands out, and we will later. That one stands out to me because I just don't remember Evander Kane having the puck on his stick that much in this hockey game, but 12 shot attempts for the former Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, 7 of them missed shots, so they weren't even blocked. So they must have been fired wide, up, high, sideways, inside out, upside down, but nowhere near the net. So that's just what's going to happen there. Sometimes it happens with Evander Kane when he gets a lot. We talk about Brock Besser and shot volume and things like that. Evander gets his sometimes.
For sure.
Yeah,
we saw that early in the season. His numbers have dropped a little bit, but that one, 2 on goal, 3 blocked, and 7 missed shot attempts for Evander Kane. All right, we want to hear from you. Your thoughts? Not necessarily. I mean, look, we've got 40 of these things still to do. We'll do a rink wide after each and every game. I think it's expected that, on a nightly basis, the interest in what we saw over 60 minutes or sometimes 65, that may begin to wane a little bit. But, there's certainly time for the broader Canuck discussions, whether it's their place in the standings, the approach to the rest of this season and beyond, trade talk, all of that. So we want to hear from you. And we always encourage Super Chats. Make a small donation or a large donation. Support our charity partner, BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. Your super chat will get to the top of the queue, and we will make sure that we incorporate it here into the program as we move along. Corey G bringing the first super chat of the night, and we appreciate the support, Corey. Started watching late in the second. Couldn't believe how lethargic this group looked in contrast to the World Juniors that we just watched. I'm going to leave the World Juniors out of this. I just will agree wholeheartedly that this group, I haven't thought this on a lot of nights this season. They've been injured. They've been outmanned. We know the stories here. But for the most part, I think we have been fair in our assessment that the Canucks have been game. Like the effort level has generally not been an issue. I just couldn't get over how easy it looked for the Buffalo Sabres for the first 55 minutes of this hockey game. Like, just whatever they wanted to do, whenever they wanted to do it, Canucks didn't seem to have a want or a will to go get the puck. That was sort of my takeaway, and quite frankly, I thought this thing was going to end 4-0 because I didn't see any sort of late surge coming from the Vancouver Canucks. So 5-3 flatters the Canucks, but I think Corey is spot on here with that super chat that just way too easy, and hopefully that's not a signal for the second half of the season that they're starting to run the white flag up because, again, you and I have to sit here. We got to watch this and break it all down. I want to see them compete. If they come up short, big deal, but I at least want to see some hustle and a little more effort than I thought I saw for the most part in this hockey game.
Well, I think when the veterans don't care, it rubs everyone else the same kind of way. When your star players aren't playing well, when their habits aren't good, when they're flat out not trying. You can tell with some of these guys it's just not there, and the give a shit meter is really, really, really low. And why wouldn't it be? You're next to the bottom team in the NHL standings, and everyone wants you to fail, and which is totally fair. But for you guys, it's like, okay, maybe let's start trying. Let's score a couple of goals here, make our coaching staff happy. And beyond that, that's really all we got. There's no easy games here for the Vancouver Canucks. They don't have any of them easier on the home ice as they do on the road. They go into Detroit, another good team. Then they go to Toronto, a team that started off bad, and then now have kind of found their game again. And then you go into Ottawa, you go to Montreal, play Columbus. Like, these are all teams that are battling for playoff spots. Are you trying to be spoiler? Or are you trying to figure out what you have right now? Or you just really don't give a shit? And I think that's the biggest thing for the Canucks.
When you're 31st, there are no easy games. In the National Hockey League, and that's where the Canucks are. And actually, for the Tankists, some good news on the out-of-town scoreboard. Winnipeg with a 2-0 lead on Vegas as they play late in the second period, so we'll monitor that as we go. Yeah. But there may be some movement at the bottom of the National Hockey League standings. Jets can't catch the Canucks with a win, but they can close that gap that started the night at 3 points. Vancouver stuck on 37 points, and the Winnipeg Jets at 34. And if the Canucks, if this trip goes completely off the rails, this could be a week to 10 days where we really see some separation, where their lot in life may be set in stone here for the remainder of the season, where it's going to get that much more difficult for the Canucks to climb out at 31st, and maybe they'll jockey with the Winnipeg Jets for 31st and 32nd as things go. Let's get to the 3 stars here on Rink Wide. 3 stars are brought to you by Greta Bar, and the countdown is on Saturday night. The watch party followed by live Rink Wide, and we hope that you'll come down and join us. Make a note of it. Again, the Canucks themselves aren't a ton of fun. A Canucks watch party, it can be fun, and it usually is, and then value added this time around because we're taking the show to Greta. So we'll launch right into Rink Wide at the final horn with Vancouver in Toronto on Saturday. It's the early start, 4 o'clock, so Rink Wide somewhere around 6:30 or 7. Stop by. You can see how this all goes down. Greta will have all of its usual game day drink and food specials and the arcade games there as well to keep you occupied in between periods. Hopefully not too many arcade games being played while we're doing Rink Wide.
Yep.
Come and support us. Yeah, we need the live studio audience, if you will. Again, that's on Saturday. Vancouver's at Toronto, and then it's the Canucks Army Watch Party, followed by Rink Wide live on location. To reserve a table, text Greta, 604-256-4022, 604-256-4022. Greta Bar, the place to be. Greta Bar, 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. All right, 3 stars as selected by the local media in Buffalo. We got, who did they go with there? Alex Tuck, Bowen Byram, and Zach Metza, who, as we said, gets his first NHL goal. So clean sweep there. Again, it was a one-goal game. Late in the hockey game, you may think, oh, there's got to be a Canuck in there, but no, clean sweep as well. Alex Tuch, look at Bo Byram's hair for the headshot. He was dancing tonight. I thought Bo and Byram, shades of his days as a Vancouver Giant. And we went with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen only because we wanted to make Jake Fraser actually type that all out, our technical producer. So honorable mention to Jake behind the scenes. But I thought Luukkonen was terrific early on. He just looked dialed in. He made some big saves. The first Canuck power play of the night, like they were buzzing. It was already 1-0 for the Sabres, their early goal. But the Canucks got the power play. They registered 6 shots on goal on that power play alone. And then it was the second power play that sort of blew up in their face, the shorthanded goal, and that was a pivotal point in this hockey game. But there you go. 3 stars, Tuch, Byram, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, all Sabres in this one. 3 stars brought to you by Greta Bar. Brock Besser has 2 assists, 2 late assists. So if you look at his night, the only Canuck with multiple points. It's just been such a monumental struggle to put pucks in the net. But this, again, not a banner night for Brock Besser. Don't get fooled by the 2 late assists. He's on the ice for 3 of the 4 Sabre goals that were scored in the run of play. He's the guy that offloads the puck. It's kind of hand grenade a little bit to Kiefer Sherwood on the shorthanded goal, but Sherwood had to make a better play there. There were breakdowns all around, but Kiefer Sherwood on that play, not his finest moment, certainly. But if you're counting at home for Brock Besser, the struggle is real and then some. It's now 17 games without a goal. It's 1 goal in 24 hockey games. And so, a multiple point night for him, a couple of assists, sure, whatever. It's only 4 points in his last 17 games. And for Evander, wasn't for lack of trying. We talked with the shot attempts, but that's 3 goals in 26 hockey games now. So, how are you supposed to win if 2 members of your top 6 haven't scored essentially since November, and then you're playing other guys, whether it's Linus Karlsson one night or DeBrusk's been a fixture in the top 6, but we know that Elias Pettersson hasn't regained star form. Those are the guys that are supposed to drive this operation, and it's not happening. Although I will say, and to Jake DeBrusk's credit, his face gets raked. He draws the double minor, so he pays a price there. Tage Thompson, 4 minutes for high sticking, and DeBrusk bats the puck out of the air, gets the Canucks on the scoreboard with his 11th. Irv, I will say, for Jake DeBrusk, it does seem like he has responded to the healthy scratch a week ago in Seattle.
100%. And he did as a professional would do and respond to that. And he's scored, he's assisted, he's drawn penalties. He's
4 points in the 4 games since.
He's just looked the part. He's looked like he's cared. He's looked like he's
way more
engaged. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing. You and I were talking about it. Is it finally time to... I know he got 2 assists, but Brock probably needs to sit upstairs for 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think I've come to that point that the proof is right there. That for Jake DeBrusk, it was just 1 game. They put him back in, and it does look like his professional pride has kicked in and the effort level has been there. And we said it at the same time there, but engaged. And that's all you're asking for. Like, you're not going to score every night. But I think, sometimes I think pro athletes and pro hockey players get stuck in this notion that they're working hard. They think they're working hard, but there's more to give. And I sort of am at that point with Brock Besser. Now, Adam Foote had I use the word luxury lightly, but he had the luxury of Connor Garland and Marco Rossi were still in the lineup. He could take DeBrusk out, and Nils Höglander went in. A legitimate National Hockey Leaguer who himself is struggling. Right now, with Garland and Rossi out and not on this road trip, Archie Baines is the only healthy forward. But I think I'm at a point now where for a night, I would probably sit Brock Besser down and plug Archie Baines in. And where DeBrusk was replaced by Nils Höglander, who has a 24-goal season on his resume, like there might be more of a message in it to Brock Besser.
Yep.
If you're sitting him down and saying, Brock, as much as the message here is we need you just to take a breath and hit reset, Brock looks and says, the guy that's getting in over me is a guy that couldn't stay in the NHL a couple of weeks ago and really has done very little offensively in his time in the league. But again, this isn't the end of Brock Besser, and he can't look at it that way, but how could he look at the coach and think, I don't deserve this? Like, as we said, no goals in 17. You're a goal scorer. No goals in 17? Kind of feels like it's reached that point, unfortunately.
1 in 24 now, or 20? Yeah, 1 in 24. Like that is not good enough if you're a goal scorer in the National Hockey League. And for Brock, I don't think he can be naive and not know that he probably just is going to get scratched, or at some point it's going to happen. Like, it's not all set in stone here. Not everyone is going to get on the ice and deserve your ice time, this, that, and the other. We saw Evander Kane not play for the final 9 minutes of the last game. That's obviously sent a message by the coach, and then Evander went out and had 12 shot attempts in this hockey game. So there was a response. Maybe we don't remember any of them, but he still went and did something. For Brock Besser, night in and night out, seemingly we watch and wait and watch and wait, and still there's nothing. Yes, he picked up 2 assists in this hockey game, but beyond that, we can't sit here and say that Brock Besser was noticeable in this hockey game, and he hasn't been on most of those nights.
No, he's credited with 3 shots on goal in the 18 minutes and 28 seconds that he played, and that's why I say, yes, he gets 2 assists on his ledger, but you can't look at that and think, most prominent Canuck, because it wasn't the case. When we look at the goals that were scored by the Sabres here, let's just run through them quickly. Okay. Tage Thompson gets his 21st of the year. He opens the scoring. He fends off Marcus Pettersson, who, again, it's been a struggle for Marcus Pettersson all season long, winds up on the wrong side of Tage Thompson. And, it starts with a zone entry. Josh Doan just flips the puck high in to the end boards and hustles after, uncontested, just goes and gets it. And that's where it starts, and then they work the puck around to the point, the shot. And look, Marcus Pettersson's a veteran defenseman, defensive defenseman. You're not expecting points from him, but you're expecting him to mind his end of the ice. He's got to have a better read and better body position. And Tage Thompson just kind of holds him off and makes it look pretty easy. So didn't like that from Marcus Pettersson, but that's kind of been a recurring theme on way too many nights here. But again, when I said it looked easy, it was those sorts of moments where Thompson made it look way too easy to grab the puck and spin and fire.
Well, he's going to score that 10 out of 10 times for sure. Evander Kane was also pretty bad on the back check there, in and trying to get to Tage Thompson. There was a spot that he probably could have got, but Tage is going to see that puck, get it, and turn, and that's going in every time.
And then Ryan McLeod off the 2-on-1, perfect pass from Tuck after Kiefer Sherwood fumbles just inside the line. And again, this is on a Canuck power play that looked good on the first go-round, and then the second power play also in that first period. Sherwood, unfortunately, and it's been such a good season for Kiefer Sherwood, but boy, he lost a puck battle in overtime the other night on the sidewall that led to the Bruins beating the Canucks in overtime, and then here, uncharacteristically, just fighting the puck. And you do have to wonder if all of that sort of is wrapped up in a neat little ball of this guy's got a lot on his plate right now, and is it trickling down into his game on the ice?
Imagine if and when Kiefer Sherwood eventually is traded, where he can go to a team that's a contender and he can be Kiefer Sherwood, not have to be Vancouver Canuck Kiefer Sherwood, where they need him to do everything. This team is really depending on him now for scoring. They're putting him on the power play. Kiefer Sherwood, love the guy. Great hockey player right now, having a couple good seasons, is not on PP1 or PP2 on a cup contending team. I just don't think so. And he gets caught, slips and falls. He tries to get the puck on his off stick, turns and slips. Obviously, he was pissed about that, but unfortunately for him, they go back down the other way and score. But Kiefer Sherwood is probably being asked to do too much on this hockey team, and that's unfair to Kiefer Sherwood.
And I think that's a great point, because not only is he not going to be on the first unit power play, he's also not going to be out there in the late stages of overtime. So you're right. The Canucks are asking the world of this guy. He has delivered most nights, but if his play is slipping, you could understand it. But also, I think the Canucks have to be careful here. His goal scoring rate was never going to be 9 goals in 12 like he started the season. But if there is a drop-off in his play and his performance, I kind of get the feeling and I've seen a lot of people saying, hey, if they had received an offer for a first-round pick by now, he would have been gone, right? So,
yeah, they have not received a first-round offer.
So I agree with that.
Yeah.
So teams aren't meeting the Canucks' demand for this player. the last thing the Canucks can afford at this stage is to give other teams ammunition where they say, yeah, see, we're seeing some cracks in his game here because the Canucks are overplaying him. They're asking too much of him. I'm still afraid of the injury factor in all of this, but I just, for Kiefer's sake, I just like to see them pull the trigger here and get him off to greener pastures. And but again, you're not going to give him away. I understand that. So it's all part of the negotiation game. So shorthanded goal at 2-1 or 2-0 rather, 11 and a half minutes into the first period. It stayed that way through 20 minutes, and then midway through the second period, it was Alex Tuch, uncontested, backdoor. Kiefer Sherwood a little late there. Again, there were breakdowns elsewhere. Not quite sure where P.O. Joseph and Tyler Myers were headed. And they were the same defensive pair that was out there for the Zach Metza goal, and P.O. Joseph was miles away from anything. The idea that he's a better option than DPD at this stage is sort of mind-boggling to me for a team that's already announced that it's in some sort of rebuild or retool phase. P.O. Joseph doesn't figure in their plans for next season beyond, let alone long-term here, and DPD can't get in the lineup right now. So this was not a particularly good night, I don't think, for P.O. Joseph, so pretty good chance then that DPD gets back in there, but Zach Metza made it 4-0 at the 6:13 mark. And I think what was notable about that goal, that's the Sabres' fourth line and third defensive pair. And they were out there against Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Evander Kane, your top line, your veterans, the guys that you're expecting. All this talk about, well, PD doesn't score as much, but his defensive play has been stout all season. Again, that goal to me sort of epitomized this night that it looked like they had all thrown in the towel. And you know what it felt like? It felt like a bunch of guys saying, what's the difference between 3-0 and 4-0 at this stage, right? Like, this one's over. Little did we know that there was going to be a sort of sudden push that the Colorado Avalanche were going to show up for 5 minutes. And
let's play for 20 minutes so we don't get. Let's play for 5 minutes so we don't get bag skated tomorrow at practice.
Pretty much,
if there is one.
And then DeBrusk, Pettersson, Ogren get the goals that made it interesting briefly before Josh Doan, with his 13th of the season, seals it into the empty net. We are going to hear from Adam Foote. We're going to hear from Jake DeBrusk as well as we go along here. Canucks move on to Buffalo. Out of Buffalo onto Detroit is stop number 2 on this road trip, and that'll be a 4:00 start on Thursday. All right, we've got the head coach then.
Let's do it, yeah.
Yeah, let's hear from Adam Foote. I'm kind of curious which way he leans here. The first 55 minutes, or does he focus on the final 5? We'll listen along with you. Here's the head coach after a 5-3 loss in Buffalo.
Adam, Jake said it was a matter of just not being ready to play right when they started. What did you see from your group?
Well, we were all right for a bit there, and then, we had control, and it seemed like we just lost coverage on the first one. You can't give him that much room. In that area, he's going to put it home, and he did. And then, our power play, they pressed, and we didn't support, and you can't give up a 2-on-1 like that. And you put ourselves behind the 8 ball. It seemed like it rattled us longer than it usually does as a group. Usually we bounce back a little bit quicker than that, but we seemed to find a way to get some jump later in the game, and just a little bit too late.
Do you feel like you guys had the juice to tie it there, Adam, once you got within one?
Yeah, it seemed like it sparked us for sure. We were coming, and they were sitting back. It happens, and they, on that last one, that we've got to have inside support, especially once we gain that zone. We didn't have it, and we'll have to take a look at that. But again, I would like to see we started okay, and then when the 2 went in, I'd like to see us calm down a little bit. I'd like to see our leadership group grab that a little quicker rather than let it linger like it did. And usually we're better about that, but we'll talk about that.
First power play, I think you guys had 6 shots on goal. You like the way that Tom Verlander has stepped into that role? Yeah,
it was good. I mean, he's a young guy, and he did well. We had a lot going on. I think we even hit the post there. The second one, we threw it out. I think it bounced on Woody there, and we just didn't have. When teams pressing like that, other guys have to come back a little bit to help out. We landed on that, and we just got a little bit loose there.
When you mentioned the veterans at a time like that wanting to grab control more, is that a verbal thing, a communication thing that you need to see it, or something?
Anything, like more of just, play and settle things down. There's lots of game left at that moment. We got back, but I thought we could have got back a lot sooner.
You mentioned just playing calmer, but are there other adjustments you want to see heading into Detroit? I know it's a long road trip ahead.
Just play our game. I mean, we got a little bit loose in coverage. I mean, you saw we're pretty good with teams go behind our net, and we had some D that put themselves in a 2-on-1 situation, didn't take back ice, and we were, like I said, we were kind of a little bit off with some decisions and playing with that confidence we usually do. But we'll change that and move forward.
All right, there you go. I mean, I think a fairly fair assessment without naming names, but he certainly singled out the leadership group and expected a little bit more, and I'm glad to hear that. I mean, this is a coach that's tried through all of the failure of this hockey club this year to remain positive in his post-game remarks and try to find things that he liked. You could just tell there that there weren't a lot of things that he liked in this one, and rightly so. So, not tearing paint off the wall publicly, and again, not calling guys out individually, but fairly evident that Adam Foote not enamored with what he saw from his hockey club.
No, and the interesting thing about it is he's been so positive and calm in the media and after the game and things like that. And you and I wonder does he rip into his team in the intermission or post game? And this one, he's like, you know what? Our guys just weren't there. And it's the leaders of this group. And the leaders of this group are Elias Pettersson. They are Jake DeBrusk. They are Brock Besser. Probably Evander Kane. Tyler Myers is in that group. Right? Your top 6 guys. Connor Garland, obviously not there. And you can tell that Connor Garland is there because he's the one that plays with a lot of heart. He's one of the only guys that plays with a lot of heart every single game. So for the coach to say that, you obviously know that something in this game upset him a lot. And frankly, I'm actually happy to see him do that. And I think that there's hopefully going to be more from this. Maybe it's a little bit of a wake-up call, or maybe he decides to bench someone, because I think that that's another step for him as well.
We're going to hear from Jake DeBrusk in a moment here. But first, it's time for our stat that stands out, and it's delivered by Uber Eats. And Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. Every time the Canucks are at home, you can get a buy one, get one 6-piece chicken McNuggets from McDonald's in Vancouver, only on Uber Eats. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fans' hockey experience all season long. Hashtag crave the stats. And I did think that the shorthanded goal was a turning point. It takes it from a chance to tie the game at 1-1 to 2-0, and now you're playing uphill and feeling it. The stat that stands out, Vancouver's now allowed 6 shorthanded goals on the season, tied with San Jose and the New York Rangers for most in the NHL. So there you go. Canucks are number 1 in a category. 6 shorthanded goals. They gave up 4 all of last year.
I can see the Sharks doing it because they play that running gun style. And New York's been bad all year.
Yep. Well, so are the Canucks.
Yeah, it's true.
And so that is a collection of teams there that have given up 6. And maybe that changes as the night goes on. But in real time here, that stands that the Canucks are tied with 2 others as tops in the National Hockey League in a category that you do not want to lead. So they've scored 5 shorthanded goals themselves, but have given up 6 now. I think it's the second one since Christmas. Philly was credited with 1. It was an empty netter, so you don't hold that against the Canucks so much. But this was a pivotal time in the hockey game, and it was Ryan McLeod. Perfect pass from Alex Tuck as he slips it across McLeod with his 8th goal of the season. So the Vancouver Canucks, as Adam Foote said, they'll watch some tape, try to make some adjustments, and we'll see if they fare any better as they move on to Motown on Thursday. This segment of Rink Wide Vancouver is a presentation of the Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid. It's a no-compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. Drive up to 72 kilometers on battery alone. That's enough to get you from downtown to the rink to the grocery store and then home to recharge. It seamlessly transitions from electric mode to the gas engine for a combined range of 962 kilometers. No sacrifices when it comes to horsepower or style with its sleek, low, and wide exterior and sophisticated interior, loaded with tech that's actually easy to use, plug in to recharge at home or at one of the over 2,000 public charging stations in BC alone. And right now, you can lease a 2026 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $109 weekly at 3.99% APR for 64 months with $3,300 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. All right, we heard from the coach. Let's hear from Jake DeBrusk, one of the goal scorers here. We're up to 11 on the season. Elias Pettersson at 11 as well. So those guys 6 back of Kiefer Sherwood, who still has the team lead with 17 on the season, and we'll see how much longer Kiefer Sherwood is around to try to add to his totals. But Jake DeBrusk with his second goal in 3 games, second goal since getting that healthy scratch in Seattle a week ago. Here he is post-game after the 5-3 loss.
Jake, I'm sure that's not the final score you wanted to see in the first game of this road trip, but what did you see from your team out there tonight?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we knew Buffalo was one of the hottest teams, if not in the league. And, we weren't ready to play. That's on us. And, Denver kept us in it, and I like the fight that we had in the third period. But in saying that, there's a fine line between winning and losing. And, little plays at the beginning of the game, little plays at the end of the game can make the difference.
You got that goal in the third period, that power play one that kind of just triggered a couple goals there within 6 minutes. More specifically in that third period, which you see from your group, is that something you more wanted to see in the first 60 or first 20 there?
Yeah, well, obviously when you get a 4 minute, you need to take advantage of that, no matter what the score is. And, I thought there were some good chances on the other unit as well. Nice to cash in there. And then, like you said, kind of two, obviously Petey's got a hell of a shot. So, that one's that, and then young kid again, 5-hole. So, but no, I mean, that's what you like to see, especially against a team like that. That's something we can build on.
You guys are back at it on Thursday against Detroit. What's the key to just resetting and getting ready for that one?
Yeah, just try to take the pauses out of the third, and just keep going. But you try to reset. Obviously, it's coming up fast, and it's a long road trip. So you got to put this one in the rearview mirror and. Just try to improve.
There you go. You could see the battle scar there at the side of the face that drew the double minor for Tage Thompson. Jake DeBrusk, I always have time to hear his thoughts. Articulate guy and trying to find the positives. But again, you can tell that they know that they weren't anywhere close to good enough in this hockey game.
I do have a question. I understand it's a very long season. We're game 41 now for this 42 now for this Vancouver Canuck hockey team. Head coach said weren't good enough. We thought we were okay early, but needed the veterans to pick it up after the 2-0 goal. I think that's what he said. Jake DeBrusk says we weren't ready to play. You're 31st in the league. If you aren't ready to play a National Hockey League game when you are one of the laughingstocks of the league, there is something so severely wrong with you as an organization. Whether that's the head coach not being able to get their players ready to play or the players just not doing it. They had a practice day in Buffalo before this game. There is no excuse for not being ready to play. What else is there to do in Buffalo? I mean, you can go to the hockey game now, but in all honesty, how are you not ready to play this game? You should be ready and up and flying every single game because that's where you are in the standings. You're not only fighting for, whatever points and what your coach saying playoffs. These guys are fighting for jobs. You can't just have a window of 5 minutes in the third period where you think everything's going to be okay. It just can't happen, and you can't play the rest of the season out like that.
But don't you think this comes back to this issue of the fabric and the DNA of this hockey club?
100%.
Like, who are the tone setters? They
don't have any.
Kiefer Sherwood tries, but beyond that, that list gets thin in a real hurry, and we know that Evander Kane, he was too busy launching shots from all over the place, but it just doesn't even feel like, we always talk about him sort of being a power forward, physical, that side of his game seems to have disappeared entirely. This was a night I thought, outside of that shorthanded chance that Sherwood and O'Connor created early in the second period, Drew O'Connor was absent from this game. Linus Karlsson, who's been riding this high and got the contract, and he's the least of my concerns in the big picture here, but he started the night on that line with DeBrusk and Pettersson that dominated the Boston Bruins, and I had to look in the box score to see if Linus Karlsson played in this hockey game. Again, he's been playing well of late, so if he had a night off, it's not a huge deal, but this team isn't good enough to get by with one or two guys. They do need everybody going, and you'd like to think that there'd be a few guys that, to your point, travel day Sunday, get a skate in on Monday, know that it's the first game of a road trip. You've played some of your best hockey all season on the road. I wouldn't know it by watching this one tonight. So, pretty disappointing all around, except for the end result, which ultimately is what I think a lot of people want to see, and that is yet another loss for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, and I think that you just look at it, and someone makes a good point in the chat, so they just don't have the players, and that's just it. It goes to roster construction, goes way back into last summer. There were projections for this team, and people thought that they would be a playoff team or hovering around the playoff bar, this, that, and the other, and it looked okay. You lose Quinn Hughes, you get guys that are young. Maybe they're going to grow into being everyday ready NHLers, but as of right now, this roster is not good enough to win hockey games. And like you just mentioned, the tone setters aren't there for them to go and do it. Who is carrying this team into games night in and night out? When the goalie's not playing well, he surely can't do it. So you look to the defenseman. Filip Hronek has had an incredible season. He really has.
Mm-hmm.
Make the Czechia Olympic team, great for him. But he's not a guy in the room that's going to go and I think that be that tone setter. And then you look at the forward group. Your guess is as good as mine, Jeff.
Yeah, no, that was what we said, and you're right. I think nights like this just drive that point home. If there are still people out there that believe and think that you look at the standings, oh, they're not that far. Yeah, they are. But if you're one of those people that believes, then you watch a night like tonight and you realize that yes, it is. It's just a flawed roster. Team's not good enough. Players aren't good enough. Not enough at the top end. And around the fringes, if those guys aren't going, then this team's not going to get very far. And it didn't, obviously, in this hockey game. All of that said, Irv, it could be worse. The Canucks could have been the New Jersey Devils tonight.
Do you see who was in net for all the goals?
9-0. The Islanders absolutely undressed the New Jersey Devils 9-0. And
the Swedish Olympic goalie was
Jacob Markstrom on the hook for all 9, which begs the question, what was do they play again tomorrow? That's the only thing I haven't looked at their schedule, but what's Sheldon Keefe doing to Jacob Markstrom, leaving him in 9 goals on 23 shots? Anthony DeClaire had the natural hat trick. He had 5 points. It was your stats night, obviously.
Well, the Devils outshot them 45-23 and still lost 9-0.
9-0. My goodness, we don't see scores like that around the National Hockey League. So, some soul searching going on. They were booing Luke Hughes the other night. They can boo all of them and then some. It was a road game for the Devils, but
they threw a Devils fan threw a jersey on the ice. It was a PK Subban jersey, and he was on the call for the game on ESPN, and they went to him, and I think there's a whole thing. If you get the chance to go look at it, it was pretty funny. But anyways, yeah, you're right.
9-0. Wow. I just and we won't go deep on this game, but again, that score jumps out at you. It was 4-0 early in the second period.
Mm-hmm.
It was 4-0 midway through the hockey game, and then it looked like the Devils just kind of packed it in. And I'm kind of curious to see some quotes from that one after the Devils get absolutely schooled by the New York Islanders. Hey, we tell you this on every episode of Rink Wide, but we hope that you've got the point by now. Follow us on our socials. We've been delivering more this season, and we will continue, especially when the Canucks get back off this road trip and they're home. They got an 8-game homestand coming up. They'll have some practice time, and we will be posting practice video, post-game and post-practice scrums as well. So make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, set your notifications, and you will not miss a thing. Detroit is up next, and I just want to spend a little bit of time previewing that one in a sec. But before we do, this is your time to shine. It is time for our Bet365 line of the night.
I also want to point out that the Anaheim Ducks are stinky now, too.
Oh, my goodness.
Winless in 7, 35 goals surrendered in that period of that 7-game stretch for the Anaheim Ducks.
5 tonight, 5-2.
Yeah.
They lost to Philly. Last night it was 7 in Washington.
Yeah.
Lucas Dostal was good early, and then he got hurt, and he hasn't been the same, and they don't defend in front of him.
No.
And
they are coming
I think
back
I'm
to
officially
reality.
off the bandwagon now. I was buying what they were selling early on, and they were fun.
They were fun to watch.
Yeah, now it's
the difference being fun to watch and being actually good to play.
Fishing pucks out of your net all night long, and that's what they seem to do on way too many nights.
Yeah.
Colorado losing back-to-back in regulation. They go 0 for down in the state of Florida. Lost to the Panthers the other night, and they lose 4-2 to the Tampa Lightning, so a good win for Tampa. Colorado will be okay. I'm not too worried about them, but it is noteworthy that started into the weekend with 2 regulation losses. That total is now 4.
All right, Jake, give it to me. Our Bet365 line tonight. I like the Washington Capitals at home against the Dallas Stars. Dallas isn't going to be happy about that game, though, against the Carolina Hurricanes. Chicago Blackhawks at home as the home dog. I do like that against the St. Louis Blues. And the Sharks and the Kings over 5.5. I'm not picking 3 games anymore because it's always a disaster when I do that. So we're going to pick the over 5.5. And anytime you take the Sharks in and over, they might just do it themselves. That team scores so many goals. So you stick those 3 together, small little parlay, plus 521. I really like those odds. Whatever you bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app. Get in on the game. Use code NATION. Bet365 must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly.
And the Jets are like the New York Jets, the Winnipeg Jets. It was 2-0. It's now 2-2. Vegas has come back in that one, so it's not over. But what looked like it might be a Jets win, we'll see if ultimately they get a result there. Got another super chat. This one from Corey says, I believe Atu Ratu isn't getting regular lineup duty because of that odd-looking all-white stick he uses. WTF. I like the white stick. I go to practice, and it's just so easy to pick out. I mean, his body type makes him pretty easy to identify as well. But I like the white stick. So he's been he came out of the lineup a little bit there, but now with Marco Rossi out, I think he's going to be a fixture down the middle, and we'll see what happens. Of course, they've got both Philip Hedl and Teddy Bluger on the road trip. Bluger was on the ice this morning. Hedl was on the ice yesterday, both of them in their red non-contact jerseys, but working their way closer. And if we ever get to a day where the Canucks have Elias Pettersson and Marco Rossi and they've got David Kampf in there as well still, but Bluger and Hedl, you do wonder, like Ratu and Max Sasson may both have to slide to the wing if they're going to stay in the lineup, or maybe they come out altogether. Dare I say, there might be a world in which the Canucks have too many centers at some point this season.
Hopefully.
It certainly has not been the case through the first 42 games that they have played.
No, absolutely not. And look, I think that we're going to look ahead now to the Detroit Red Wings. I know they're a team that's obviously been playing some pretty good hockey of late. A team that, Vancouver Canucks have been linked to, whether it was trades for Quinn Hughes way back or whatever could happen in the future. You never know if they're a team that might be in on Kiefer Sherwood. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But another test for this team. I mean, everyone is going to be a test for the Vancouver Canucks. So you had the wake-up call from the head coach. You probably are going to get that at some point here, or if they've not already had it. And then Jake DeBrusk basically saying we weren't ready to play. So that's one of your veterans saying that publicly. So let's see how they respond here. And he's a guy that obviously did respond from that public criticism. So
the Red Wings, and people aren't talking about them. Maybe they should be. The Detroit Red Wings are 25-15-4. They started this day in first in the Eastern Conference. Now, Carolina and Tampa both won today, so they leapfrogged them. Detroit's a single point out of first place in the Eastern Conference, and yet they're doing it with a negative goal differential. You may recall they blanked the Canucks 4-0 on December the 8th. John Gibson was terrific that night, 39 saves. Detroit beat Ottawa last night. They don't play again now till Thursday. They're 12-4-3 in their last 19 hockey games. So like the Sabres, who have been red hot, this Detroit team rolling as well. Alex DeBrincat and Dylan Larkin, 22 goals apiece to lead the way. Lucas Raymond is their top scorer. He's got 45 points. And just remember this before the puck drops on Thursday, Red Wings have a top 5 power play at 24.6%. So zipping it around with man advantage. We mentioned Gibson, Cam Talbot. So they've got two guys, two veterans, but holding up their end of the bargain. Gibson's got slightly better numbers. All right. You have no reason to know the answer to this.
Okay.
This is just a complete guess. But I was looking and I was like, okay, the Red Wings have only used 2 goaltenders. How many teams in the NHL this year have only needed 2 goaltenders? Canucks are at 4.
Yeah.
With Yuri Patera getting his 1 game in there and Tuolipilo as well. How many teams do you think have only used 2 goalies this season?
It's got to be a small number. I'm going to say 6.
No, it's more than...
Okay.
I thought it was going to be a relatively low number as well. Turns out that it's 14. So
okay.
almost half the league.
Yeah.
But still, half the league is required in... we've only passed the halfway mark, and half the teams have needed 3 or more. So, they're in the minority, but they have some company there. Whatever the case, Cam Talbot standing tall still at his advanced age, and John Gibson, kind of a new lease on life after all those years in Anaheim. Hey, maybe John Gibson's going to get to play some playoff hockey this year. How about that? We shall see. Doesn't look like the Canucks are going to be playing playoff hockey, not with the effort nor the result in this one. In Buffalo, they fall by a score of 5-3 as the final. So winless in 4, 1 win in 7. And I would think, for a variety of reasons, that you'll see Kevin Lankinen in goal on Thursday against the Wings. Thatcher just doesn't have it right now. They don't have back-to-backs until the Montreal and the Ottawa games early next week, where they definitely will split those. The way it sets up, I think you go Lankinen on Thursday in Detroit, and then you give Thatcher an opportunity to redeem himself on the big stage in Toronto for the watch party and the live Rink Wide on Saturday.
Pumped for the live Rink Wide on Saturday.
So am I. Yeah, we're counting it down now. Closing in, only a handful of days away. So hopefully, again, that you'll make some plans to join us for the watch party and stick around for the live presentation of Rink Wide Vancouver Saturday from Greta Bar YVR. Our thanks to Jake Fraser for spelling out Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and putting this program together.
You're the real MVP.
Yeah, exactly. Thursday. Let's do it
Yes,
again.
sir. Absolutely.
All right, Canucks and the Wings, Thursday afternoon, a 4 o'clock start. That'll be our next episode of Rink Wide Vancouver.